Hi everyone. I'm so sorry the PSU Chamber Choir can't perform for you in person today, but instead we're going to show my favorite video that we recorded during the COVID year. This is a piece we actually commissioned from a young Filipino-American composer named Matthew Lyon Hazard, and he wrote both the words and the music. And it's about getting on a plane to go visit your lover, but it's also just about being distant from all the things you love and just the thought of getting closer to those things again. And that's where we are, the flight from my side of the world to yours. So enjoy the PSU Chamber Choir singing Flight by Matthew Lyon Hazard.
Greetings and welcome to the 2021-22 academic year. As I start the program, I want to make sure we acknowledge that Portland State University is located in the heart of downtown Portland, Oregon in Multnomah County. We honor the indigenous people whose traditional and ancestral homelands we stand on, the Multnomah, Clackamas, Tumwater, Watlala bands of the Chinook, and the Tualatin and Kayapua, and many other indigenous nations of the Columbia River. It's important to acknowledge the ancestors of this place and to recognize that we are here because of the sacrifices forced upon them. In remembering these communities, we honor their legacy, their lives, and their descendants, and we have much to learn from their history and their values. Welcome. Last year, we focused our Convocation theme on resilience. We reflected together on the unprecedented times on the eve of PSU's 75th anniversary. We acknowledged the grit and community care it would take to persevere, and we did. We persevered from the first remote classrooms of the fall all the way through a second virtual commencement ceremony. We leaned into our collective work on racial justice and equity, building a scaffolding of funding and action plans to commence meaningful change. We collaborated to solve fiscal challenges. We carefully scrutinized hiring. We supported the tireless work of a great enrollment management team to bring new students to PSU. We made use of federal relief funds to offset steep institutional losses, while also getting checks into the pockets of struggling students. And just this month, we successfully completed our first Summer Bridge Scholars Program, an example of how PSU can respond innovatively to the needs of our students and help them find success. All of us dug deep in so many ways, persevering in the same spirit that has animated this university for the last 75 years. At PSU, we share the values of enhancing racial justice and equity, of doing everything we can to ensure the success of our students, and engaging with our community to better our city, region, and the world beyond. I'm heartened by this. We continue to center our core values as we transform this institution in order to maintain and expand our role as a community-engaged engine of research, problem-solving, and social mobility, all of which our great city needs. I'll have more to share about that later in the program, but for now, I want to say thank you for being here today and for all you do for Portland State. Now it's my great pleasure to turn it over to Vanelda Hopes, who has graciously agreed to be our MC again this year to take us through today's program. Hello, Vanelda.
Thank you, President Percy, for that inspiring welcome. I'm Vanelda Hopes, Chief of Staff to the Provost at Portland State. Whether virtual or in person, Convocation is a time for us to center our values as a campus community. And this year we're reflecting on how those values will guide us as we move forward into the future. To kick us off, please welcome Provost Susan Jeffords.
Welcome to Portland State University's 2021-22 academic year. As the President shared, this past year has been a difficult one as we all adapted to the continuing COVID-19 pandemic. Most recently, the Delta surge has set back many of our hopes for reaching a stable state with the virus. Throughout this period, PSU has continued to be proactive in ensuring the health and safety of the campus community, not only following OHA guidelines, but exceeding many of the standards for buildings and other precautions. But the most critical component of our pandemic response has been undertaken by all of you, as you changed class modalities, altered service deliveries, and adjusted policies to ensure that our students could continue to pursue their educational plans and goals. For all of this, I say from my heart, thank you. As the President said, the year ahead will ask us to continue to embrace change. We must assess what we have learned from this period that we think should be critical as we go forward. How might we continue to respond to students' desires for flexible learning environments and services? How might we become a more hybrid university? How might we support faculty who have experimented with new pedagogies that you wish to continue? In the academic year, I look forward to working with all of you to explore these conversations and develop plans so that we can implement them. I'm now pleased to introduce the first video for our Excellence awardees. They are David Payton, William Parnell, Richard Mikulski, and Marcy Hunt.
My name is David Payton, and I'm in the chemistry department here at Portland State University, and I'm actually receiving 2 awards. One is the Award for Mentorship, and the other is the Millar Award. In general, I do a lot of general chemistry. Well, these awards are really for my students and postdocs and collaborators. Everything I do with others. I help people to get to their objectives, their career, and through that, their research.
So what I really enjoy about working for Portland State University and working with our students here is that Portland State is not only a downtown campus in a mid-sized city, but we're also connected because we're West Coast. We're connected to different parts of the world. One of my greatest wishes for everyone is to see young children as citizens of our planet, as people who can do and be with us, as people who want to be with us. Young children want to be with us. They are born wanting to know who we are, and they want us to know who they are.
So my name is Rick Mikulski. I'm an assistant professor in the PSU library, where I'm the Government Documents and Social Sciences librarian. So as a librarian, I work with students across campus, mostly Coupa. I assist them in terms of their research projects, and I come to classes and teach individual research sessions. I also help faculty members with their research, and I oversee the Federal Depository here at PSU. It really is a great honor to receive this award. I particularly appreciate the department outside of the library that nominated me. It reflects the working relationship that we've developed between the library and that department. So I see this award as sort of a sign of that relationship that's grown over time, and that gives me a lot of satisfaction and pride.
My name is Marcy Hunt, and I'm the Director of Counseling Services at the Center for Student Health and Counseling. I oversee the mental health services for the student body here at Portland State. I am honored to have been awarded the Mary H. Cumpston Award. From what I've heard from colleagues, that Mary H. Cumpston was a champion for students and that she bridged the worlds of academia and student services, and I strive to do the same. I work to build bridges, to build community and connections between our students and our faculty, and to really work together to build that community culture of care here at Portland State.
I hope you found the stories of those awardees inspiring. Central among our values at Portland State is our commitment to racial justice and equity and making meaningful progress in transforming the institution to become fully welcoming, supporting the success of all students, faculty, and employees, no matter their background. We are grateful for the leadership of Dr. Ame Lambert in this work. Dr. Lambert joined Portland State last year as Vice President of Global Diversity and Inclusion. She's here to inspire us further with her take on our theme of values-led innovation.
More than a decade ago, I mentioned in a casual conversation at work that cold cuts were not a thing that resonated in my culture. So I never felt like I had a real meal when I ate a deli sandwich. I also said that whenever I was ordering food for my students, I ordered bone-in chicken over chicken breast because that was preferred and considered more flavorful. I didn't realize it at the time, but the comments registered with someone with decision-making authority. And after that, we always had hot lunches, and lo and behold, there was some bone-in chicken. Now, I already had a reputation for having the best food at events. After all, I'm a foodie, a flavor snob, and I don't serve what I won't eat. But this reputation now extended to our whole unit, and our events became the place to be. It also impacted retention. We had a mentoring program that met once a month. People came for the conversation, yes, but really for the food and community, because it was good food and it was familiar and it felt like they were at home. Our meetings were Mondays at 4, and students would stop by the office on Mondays and ask if we had a meeting that day. They asked us so often, we started meeting twice a month and eventually met every Monday at 4. Now, it's a light story, but I hope you get the point. While it might appear counterintuitive, what you do to help a few or the most marginalized to be seen, to be valued, often ends up benefiting many more. Most people I know will take a hot meal over deli meat. So the impetus might have been the Nigerian or the minoritized students, but everybody gained from the impact. Now, it was not cost-free. Change never is. Hot meals cost more than deli sandwiches, and having meals every week rather than once a month was more expensive. You also couldn't do an automated catering order with most of the meals we wanted, so we got to know our catering staff very well, and that took more time for all parties. And it was more work to have a relevant weekly topic, especially for an introvert like me. But the investment of time, money, and not always doing what was easiest, comfortable, or had worked in the past was worth it. We kept more of our students. They did better, and they graduated with high levels of self-efficacy. I'm still in touch with many of them or have them as Facebook friends, and many of them have found their way, and many of them are now waymakers themselves. Our student population is changing. The Portland population is changing. The US population is changing. So we have to change and evolve as well to effectively serve our students and our colleagues. This is understandably scary to some, and for others, it can feel like a loss. Let's get very real for a second. All change is painful in some way, and all change can feel like giving something up, because we are. But we are rejecting binary and zero-sum game thinking as we make this change. I believe with everything in me that the changes we make as we center minoritized voices and needs are changes beneficial to all. I recognize I'm a biased narrator, so I invite you to conduct your own experiments and find your own truth. We are heading somewhere none of us have been. There will be bumps in the road, and we will likely get some bumps ourselves. But we are heading somewhere better for more of us. It is okay if it does not feel like better all the time. Actually, I can guarantee that it will not feel like better all the time, because change is hard and humans are complex. But the vision of better is what we hold on to as we navigate the hard times. Portland State University is on its way to becoming a majority BIPOC institution. We want to be intentional about this journey. We want to be prepared, and we want to be an institution where all our communities feel like it is home. I have said before that the appeal of PSU for me was this was a place where what happens here can make all the difference. This was a place where transformation happened. So we get to transform again and leverage our recognized know-how as innovators to be a place where all our communities thrive and succeed. I'm delighted to be with you on this journey, and I look forward to partnering with you in the days ahead. In spite of it all, let's make it a great year.
As we look ahead to a fresh academic year, we wanted to hear from the chair of PSU's Board of Trustees. PSU is governed by a 15-member volunteer board appointed by the Governor of Oregon. Greg Hinckley, an award-winning technology executive and investor, is the current board chair and joins us now.
Good afternoon. I'm Greg Hinckley. I'm chair of the Board of Trustees for Portland State. And I'd like to welcome you all back to Convocation for the fall quarter of 2021. I have a few remarks. This is an exciting, if sometimes challenging, time to be involved with an institute of higher education, especially one that is so completely dedicated to student success, so meaningfully engaged in making progress on racial justice, and so profoundly connected to the community and this region that we call home. For 75 years, Portland State University has been an engine for innovation and a pathway to a better future for thousands of Oregonians. We all learned new lessons of resilience over the last year and a half. From where I sit as a member of the Board of Trustees and now as the chair, I've been impressed with the ability of this institution to continue to live its values, to continue to deliver on its potential, finding a way to continue community-engaged research and learning in remote settings. just like the fantastic Portland State University Chamber Choir has continued to practice and perform despite mask requirements and distancing rules. And while yes, resilience and core values will shape the future of this institution, the biggest inspiration of all should be the students in your labs and classrooms. Portland State is home to the most diverse group of students in Oregon. They are challenged in many ways and will challenge you in turn. What PSU does better than any other university in this state is to put students on a road to a better future and more economic opportunities and the education to become change makers. That's something for all of us to be really proud of you. So, I wish you all the best for the coming academic year.
Portland State is Oregon's urban research university. Jason Podrabski is a biologist, the interim vice president for research and graduate studies, and a passionate advocate for research and for the people engaged in that work at Portland State. He's here to provide an update on research at PSU.
Hello, thank you for joining us for Convocation. I'm Jason Podrabski, interim vice president for research and graduate studies. As we look forward to the new academic year, I'd like to recognize the incredible resilience and dedication that Portland State students, faculty, and staff have demonstrated over the past 18 months. I've been especially inspired by the PSU research community. As we've together navigated the challenges presented by the pandemic, your continued commitment to education, research, scholarship, and service is a source of pride for our community. I want to thank you all for the work that you've done and continue to do. I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize the recipients of PSU's 2021 University Research Awards. The President, Provost, and others joined me in celebrating our winners during a virtual event in the spring. It's my honor now to invite you and the whole campus community in congratulating the following individuals for their outstanding contributions to PSU's research scholarship and student success. Jennifer Dill is the recipient of the Presidential Career Research Award. Professor Dill is an internationally known scholar researching the relationships between transportation, land use, health, and the environment with a focus on active transportation. She is the director of TREC, the Transportation Research and Education Center at PSU. David Payton is the recipient of the Graduate Mentoring Excellence Award. Professor Payton has served as the thesis chair for 16 doctoral and 11 master's students, most of whom have moved on to successful careers in industry or academia. Julius McGee and Jeremy Spoon are PSU's Early Career Research Award winners. Professor McGee's scholarship focuses on the relationship between social inequality and climate change. Professor Spoon is an applied environmental anthropologist with more than 20 years of experience collaborating with Indigenous peoples and government agencies. Dora Raymaker is the recipient of the Research Faculty Award. Professor Raymaker's research interests include community-engaged practice, systems thinking, disability, and the dynamics at the intersection of science and society. And Alexandra Herink is the 2021 Research Administrator of the Year. On behalf of PSU's research community, welcome to the 2021 and 2022 academic year. While the year ahead still poses daunting challenges for all of us, I know that together we will meet those challenges as we have in the past and continue making exciting discoveries as we explore, innovate, and create.
Next up to the virtual podium is Vicki Reitnauer. Dr. Reitnauer joined the faculty of Portland State University in 2000 and teaches core and elective courses in women, gender, and sexuality studies, as well as capstone service learning courses in university studies. She's also this year's presiding officer of the PSU Faculty Senate.
Colleagues, students, hello. My name is Vicki Reitnauer, and I'm a faculty member in the Department of Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies, and the presiding officer of the Faculty Senate. On behalf of Faculty Senate and our leadership team, including Secretary to the Faculty Richard Byler, Presiding Officer-elect Rowana Carpenter, past Presiding Officer Michelle Gambard, Parliamentarian Michael Clark, and the Senate Steering Committee, I'm pleased to join my colleagues in offering these words of welcome to the new academic year. Over these last 18 months, marked by climate disaster, long overdue racial reckoning, seething resentments across political divides, and of course, pandemic, I found myself thinking back to being a 10th grader in eastern Pennsylvania in 1979, consumed with worry about a nuclear threat that was not just about weapons of mass destruction, but also the catastrophe playing out an hour away from my house at the 3 Mile Island nuclear facility. More than being glued to the TV news or the phone ringing with updates on evacuated family members or a dog-eared copy of the fate of the Earth, I've been remembering something else. How, as a student a few years later, I discovered the balm of community in Wayne Murray's elective nuclear science course, following my fears and my hopes that those fears wouldn't come true into a space where my classmates and I inquired deeply into the science together, developed nerdy inside jokes, and were taken seriously as learners, civic actors, and humans wanting a future by our brilliant and loving teacher. I believe I've been one of the luckier instructors at PSU during the pandemic, having had the rare opportunity to co-teach with a brilliant and loving colleague, and thus having experienced much less loneliness than would have come my way otherwise. I suspect that for many of us who labor and learn at PSU, no matter what our positions, job responsibilities, length of service, or courses of study, a penetrating loneliness has been a significant feature of our experiences for far too long. What does this have to do with shared governance? Shared governance provides a mechanism through which we claim collective ownership over the forms and functions that structure and animate the university. Shared governance provides a platform to which we bring our individual selves, our concerns and curiosities, our fears and hopes, our experience and expertise, a space for the deliberative assembly required to collaboratively build a better PSU. Change is coming at us, to us, and for us, whether we welcome it or not. If we've learned nothing else over these past 18 months, let us have learned that. The question isn't, will we change, but how? As Faculty Senate Presiding Officer, I intend to advance critical engagement across the differences we embody and represent, so we may meet our responsibilities to the students who are PSU's reason to exist, students facing crises that stagger in their intersectional complexity. What do our students, all of our students, need from us to thrive in and despite and through these times? How might we address student needs and desires in ways that build on our strengths and surface possibilities we have not yet imagined? As I sensed in that nuclear physics course, have experienced as an instructor of critical studies, and know for sure after all these hours on Zoom, it will continue to take deep reservoirs of individual and collective courage to meet the moments coming towards us. I'm with you and for you, colleagues and students, in every corner of the university, and I urge all of us to be with and for each other as we co-create the most just, beneficial, and promising response we can muster to what's next and next and next.
The Portland State University Foundation is embarked on an exciting year. Not only have they joined us in celebrating PSU's 75th anniversary, they are also marking the successful conclusion of our first major fundraising campaign to support students, faculty, and facilities on campus, including the beautiful new Vanport building open officially for the first time this fall. Joining us now is Sarah Schwartz, PSU Foundation President.
As we begin the new academic year, I want to take a moment to acknowledge just how much PSU's mission, and in particular your work supporting that mission, makes in the lives of students and the vitality of our city. Later in the program, we will hear from the winner of this year's Faculty Excellence Award for Philanthropy. Each year at Convocation, the PSU Foundation honors a faculty member whose important work sparks contributions from donors and who has worked skillfully to advance philanthropic relationships. This year, we are pleased to recognize Ethan Sperry, the Barry Stoll Professor of Choral Music, for his remarkable partnership. Congratulations, Ethan. This year and every year, we at the PSU Foundation take great pride in working with and supporting faculty and staff. You are the connectors, coaches, and catalysts for student success and for transformational ideas. We are honored to partner with you. In fact, this past decade, your work has been at the heart of a campaign to let knowledge serve. This fall, we are celebrating the successful conclusion of PSU's first major fundraising campaign, and I am thrilled to share these outcomes with you. More than 23,000 donors, including many of you, contributed more than $306 million to Portland State's mission. Private support, combined with public investment, transformed PSU's campus. Together, we constructed or renovated 5 new campus facilities, remarkable spaces where we can teach, learn, compete in sports, and come together with the community. We supported more than 13,000 student scholarships and 29 new professorships. And we grew PSU's endowment by a whopping 150%. At this year's Simon Benson Awards on October 14th, we will celebrate these achievements and PSU's 75th anniversary. This signature PSU event will again be presented virtually this year and is free and open to all. I invite you to tune in so we can toast these milestones together. Watch for a link to RSVP in an upcoming edition of Currently. Thanks to all of you for your work on behalf of PSU students each and every day. Have a terrific fall term.
I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome all new PSU employees, both to our campus and to our virtual spaces. We had a successful 2021-22 promotion and tenure cycle. Over 80 faculty were promoted, including 21 faculty to professor with tenure, 17 to associate professor with indefinite tenure, 28 faculty had non-tenure track promotions, and 8 faculty were promoted to emeritus status. Now I'd like to congratulate the remaining 2021 Faculty and Staff Excellence awardees. They are Ethan Sperry, Molly Wallace, and Christopher Allen.
My name is Ethan Sperry, and I'm the Barry Stoll Professor of Choral Music in the School of Music and Theater, which is part of the College of the Arts here at Portland State University. So my main part of my job is actually to run the choral program at Portland State, which means I conduct the Portland State Chamber Choir. I'm really honored to be given this award, and I'm glad it exists. Most of you watching this know the unfortunate truth about funding for public education and where that's going. And philanthropy is a path forward if we want to grow. Most of the money I've raised has gone directly to students in the form of scholarships, which allows me to recruit a set of students not only who are great in the field, but who couldn't normally afford it. And I know a lot of us can write grants. Music education really isn't a field for grant writing, but this is a path forward, and I'm glad to see PSU recognizing it and awarding it, because we're going to have to do this on our own. I wish it weren't the case. I wish we could just do our jobs and have the great students come here, but that's not the political climate we live in. And philanthropy is a great path forward to grow what you want to do.
Hello, my name's Chris Allen. I'm a teacher in the Department of Psychology, and I'm getting the Adjunct Faculty Award for Instruction. I've been at Portland State for about 12 years, and I teach abnormal psychology and happiness psychology. We tell people you don't have to be happy to join our class. We appreciate that people have a set point of happiness, but we want to try to teach ideas that have been helpful over the centuries and through modern research about happiness. I'm honored to be your colleague, and I'm honored to have this award, and I wish all of you the best in your teaching and research. I just want to say thank you to the administrators that organized this award. Thank you.
My name is Molly Wallace, and I'm Adjunct Assistant Professor in the Conflict Resolution Program of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. If I were to boil down my research to one central theme, it would really be, how do we demilitarize security? How do we use nonviolent action not only for broader social change, but also to prevent violence and to protect people? Receiving this award, I think, highlights for me the dedication and commitment of the Conflict Resolution Program, insofar as people had to put time and energy into the nomination process. So I hope that by receiving this award, I draw attention to the amazing work that the faculty and staff and students in the conflict resolution program are doing and have been doing for 25 years now.
Hello again. Thank you for the opportunity to say more about how our value-centered university can innovate, evolve, and transform. First, some information about our university today as background to the state of the university, something I usually do at Convocation. Let me start with enrollment. This past year, we graduated a class of 6,255 students, the second largest in PSU's history. Included among them were our first 4 years free students, what a gratifying result of a transformative program. Our overall enrollment, however, for the fall term is down, as we had predicted it would be, in part because of the large graduating class left fewer students to return. We're making critical progress in our effort to stabilize long-term enrollment. New student enrollments for this fall, as compared to last fall, are up. That's exciting, for it signals a rebound in student enrollment over the longer term. We've been working hard to retain eligible returning students, reaching out to them directly over the summer to find out how we can support them in completing their degrees. New student diversity is as high as it's ever been. Students with BIPOC identity make up more than half of the new students enrolling at PSU this fall. Let me say a few words about budget. It was a scary year. In the end, it came out better than we anticipated. We were worried initially about the impact of the pandemic on fees and revenues that affect our financial situation greatly. In the end, it did get brighter. Here's some highlights. By partnering with our unions, we reduced expenditures through last year's work share program. We activated a strategic review of faculty and staff recruitment. As you might imagine, some operating costs, like travel and supplies, were substantially less because we were working remotely. Federal relief funds allowed us to offset many deep losses related to the pandemic, especially for auxiliaries. And we were gratified to receive increased funding from the state. This included funds to help us cover the higher cost of running our operations and support for low-income college students. In the next month, we'll publish a user-friendly analysis of the overall fiscal outcome for last year. I want everyone to be able to see it and understand it. While these factors have helped, they do not mitigate the underlying financial challenges caused by the enrollment decline of the past decade. Today, our annual student headcount is 30% smaller than it was a decade ago. We must align our capacity and resources with the reality of our current anticipated enrollment. It's imperative that we create financial sustainability. To help meet this challenge, the Provost will continue the program review process which began last year. We are also moving, and I want you to know this, we're moving forward with a top-to-bottom cross-campus review of our support and administrative services in the search of more efficiencies. On a brighter note, I do see some important opportunities. We can strengthen and expand programs in areas of key growth. Opening the doors wider in our growing disciplines means attracting more students. That hastens our financial sustainability and responds to the needs of our students and community. We have created and can continue to create new academic pathways, multidisciplinary programs, and even stackable degrees, which enrich our offerings and attract new students. We can center our work around transformational initiatives that can and will shape our campus, our city, and our world. Solving complex community challenges is how we demonstrate our values: social justice, student success, and external engagement, and how we energize ourselves and our campus. Seizing these opportunities will require our collective commitment. One-time federal COVID relief funds, while not a panacea, have allowed us to protect and strengthen our institutional reserves. These augmented reserves will support our resilience and our ambitions for innovation. This fills me with optimism. This university has an exciting and innovative future ahead. A future that's built on the foundations of core interdependent values that have been persistent through the history of PSU. They are reflected in my presidential priorities: racial justice and equity, student success, and community engagement. Over the past year, we've animated those priorities with progress. First, racial justice and equity. Last year, we engaged in deep reflection, learning, and action planning. This year, we're moving forward. New forms of accountability are in place, including a new racial justice scorecard. Drawing upon the $1.5 million fund I created, initiatives identified by campus task forces will be activated. We are launching a new leadership academy, and many other programs move forward as we pivot our campus to greater justice. All of this on top of the exciting new race and ethnic studies requirement created by our faculty as a core element of the undergraduate curriculum. Next, our laser focus on student success continues with close attention to student retention. We launched our new summer Bridge Scholars program to prepare students prior to the fall term to be effective learners. We provided housing scholarships to 50 incoming first-year students to help offset the cost of higher education. A persistence network of 45 student advocates, including both staff and faculty in each of the schools and colleges, has been working to create data-driven strategies to help students successfully navigate their academic journeys to completion at PSU. And we've hired 2 student success advocates so that incoming students have someone looking out for their academic success while they're at Portland State. Now let's talk about community engagement. We have redoubled our efforts to harness engagement to revitalize our community. We have worked hand in glove with the city's action tables, focused on Portland's pandemic recovery and activating our campus to energize the downtown core. My office is establishing a civic and community impact team to help identify new opportunities and galvanize our ongoing engagement efforts. I'm incredibly grateful for all the faculty and staff who have offered their expertise in so many different ways to support this city, this region, and this country. You have shared a deep pool of knowledge on public health strategies, and you've helped citizens better understand everything from vaccines to gun violence to air quality. Together, we've made significant progress, and there's still much more to do. Even in times of disruption, it's important to think big. We can't get mired in the present, even as critical realities are a challenge. We must look ahead. We must aspire to innovation that strengthens us. From where I sit as president, I see 2 immediate opportunities, what I actually see as imperatives, that present themselves to us today. I'd like to share these with you and hear what you think, and have a dialogue with you about them. The first is university-wide focus on climate change. Is there any doubt that climate change is now wreaking havoc across the globe, including in our own state and backyard? This summer, we experienced record heat and forest fires that came after an unprecedented ice storm. The impact of these events were not equally experienced. Minoritized communities and disadvantaged neighborhoods continue to bear the brunt of climate disasters. The acceleration of climate crisis is playing out in real time before us. These heat waves, storms, and wildfires are all happening at a scale that hasn't been seen in 100 years, 150 years, or even more. The world is waking up. PSU is home to dozens of disciplines, academic and research units, and engagement projects, all focused on adapting to, mitigating, and explaining the effects of climate change. We have amazing assets in place. We have the opportunity to become leaders not only in the science of climate change, but in the ways that communities respond and adapt to climate crisis. Our lens is focused on our values, our core values of racial justice, on our students whose climate generation will be facing the climate crisis every day. We also wish to honor our commitment to serving this unique urban community of Portland. Our response can and must be truly multidisciplinary, involving units that include everything from urban planning to environmental science to engineering to English to Indigenous Nation studies to business education. Well, you'll see what I mean. It's something that touches every discipline on campus. Let me cite just a few of the elements that can help us build a dynamic and comprehensive response to climate change. We have PSU's globally recognized leadership and sustainability critical to climate change response. We have newly launched multidisciplinary programs in emergency management and community resilience. We have expertise in environmental extremes and natural resources and environmental justice. With our cluster hire recently, we have advanced capacity in the important work of the School of Gender, Race, and Nations. A new cluster hire in computational science will focus on sustainability themes from scaling energy efficiency to understanding epidemiology. We have infrastructure resilience work in the Massey College of Engineering and Computer Science. We have public health curriculum and research attuned not only to the health impacts of climate change, but also to the disproportionate impact on historically disadvantaged communities. We have decades of experience in urban planning and architecture focused on the interactions between the physical environment and our climate. And we have a long history across the university of community collaboration that turns innovative ideas into actions. And we can grow and extend our expertise in new areas, all focused on helping our communities mitigate the harm of climate change. Humanities and social sciences have a key role to play in this effort, deepening our understanding of climate impacts and their effects on human beings and society. Our college education will help us teach people about climate change and response. Our School of Social Work will help us heal people affected by the strain of climate adaptation. Every school, college, unit, and department has a role to play in this work. I see tremendous potential for our campus to demonstrate leadership in this area. We have amazing potential to lead in this work. I ask all of you this fall to help me thoughtfully, thoroughly, and urgently explore ways we can be distinctive. Then we can make the necessary investments to elevate PSU's impact in community-centered climate change response. That brings me to my second area I want to talk about, that's social mobility. PSU already leads the state and is among the best in the nation improving the social mobility of our graduates. We've been recognized for this, and we can build on that strength. Social mobility, improving the lives and economic opportunity through higher education, is truly transformational for our students. It's perfectly aligned with our core values. PSU has been doing this throughout our work, throughout our history, beginning in Vanport. This has been part of us, and I think we can do even more. Our social mobility focus is well underway, including our work on Students First, dedicated to ensuring academic success for all students. Quality and effective learning is a critical foundation for social mobility, but it alone is not enough. We must continue to expand enrollment opportunities to meet the diversity of our region. We must increase the graduation rates for students of color and low-income students. We must find innovative ways to help our students meet their basic needs so they can focus on their academic learning. We need to adopt a curriculum that will build careers resulting in dynamic and resilient workforces. And we need to explore new partnerships to expand the reach and impact of our programs for the betterment of our community. PSU can and must be the engine revving for a brighter future for Portland, providing the most diverse and most talented teachers, social workers, healthcare workers, entrepreneurs, engineers, and more. Our community needs leaders, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and justice advocates. Climate action and social mobility are key components of our future. They require us to bring focused areas of work that can truly serve the restoration of this great city. They empower us to elevate the lives of the students who come to us seeking change and seeking to want to make change. I truly believe that we started moving in new and positive ways, and we can do even more. And as we continue to move forward, led by our values, I'm excited to create dialogues and work with you on all of this. Thank you again for your time and attention today. I so look forward to continuing dialogue, and I wish you all the very best in starting this new academic year. Thank you.